Are you a god?
Not part of the Imperial Guard no more.
God?
The Astra Military.
In this build video, I'm focusing on two weapons, the Mark IIIb Bully Club and the Kickback. There are two core builds I run these weapons with, and each has some options associated with them. Weapons. The changes to the Brunt Basher Mark IIIb Bully Club from patch 14 makes it difficult to not take on missions. The heavy attacks are faster than before, and they now damage more of the targets that are cleaved. Additionally, slaps across the clubs, when applied to the weak spot, can stagger pretty much anything. It's fantastic. I run mine with damage to Carapace and Unyielding with Thunderous and Skullcrusher for blessings. I have others with various combinations of blessings and perks. You know, they all feel pretty good, and this is the one I've settled on. The Kickback is a stagger machine, always has been. I run two different versions of this, depending on the build I'm going with. I run one with extra reload speed and damage to maniacs with Surgical and Expansive. Surgical helps ensure I drop specials at range, and Expansive adds a short-lived bit of power to my melee strikes as I work my way to where I want to go. Its window is very tight and is best for melee-centric play. The other way I run the Kickback is damage to Unyielding and Maniacs with Blaze Away and Surgical for the blessings. I'd rather Unyielding damage be reload speed, but it is what it is. Surgical and Blaze Away don't play very well together, but they're each good at two different things. Again, Surgical helps ensure I'm dropping specials with regularity, and Blaze Away is great when the team is just dumping round after round at waves of shooters. More power is more damage, and sometimes the game likes to throw so many shooters at you. The Kickback is amazing at suppressing enemies. By the time they've recovered, your next round is pretty much ready to be fired. One additional note about the Kickback is that I can fire it directly through an Godgryn in front of me and hit whatever I'm aiming at. For movement, both the Kickback and the Club have mobility modifiers. Look to see which one has the highest value and move through the map wielding the one that gets you there faster. Builds. Like I mentioned before, there are two slightly different builds that I play with. One utilizes Indomitable and the other Loyal Protector. In both builds, I always take Heavyweight for the extra damage and damage reduction from Godgryn enemies. I always take both Smash 'em and the Best Defense. I throw a lot of heavy attacks with the club, so no matter what I hit, I'm getting 25% toughness in return. I always take Furious for extra damage. For the Blitz, you can pick any that you like. In both iterations of this build, I take Bombs Away for the utility of it, and it, like Frag Bomb, allows me to pick up Soften Them Up for more damage from my club. If you're a rock lover, you'll have to be content with extra impact from Slam. I pick up the toughness damage reduction node, and this is where my two builds diverge. If I'm taking Loyal Protector, I take Valuable Distraction for team damage against anything that has a red head, and Big Lungs for the radius boost it provides. I've run without Big Lungs, and I've found that shotgunners like to set up around the distance that this boost provides. This taunt will force into melee Dragon Scab Stalkers, Scab Shooters, and Dragon Scab Shotgunners. All other ranged units will only be affected by the brief stagger this ability provides. From there, I take the reload boost and ammo stash. To me, part of the point of taking Loyal Protector is that you get to dip into the Gunlugger section of the talent tree. Having 58 rounds in the Kickback is great, especially on those no ammo pickup Maelstrom missions. Shifting over to the Skullbreaker side of the tree, I pick up the boost to Rending, Batter for Bleed on heavy attack, the extra heavy attack damage boost, and Bonebreaker's Aura for even more damage to heavy attacks. From there, I path down to gain extra damage resistance from bleeding enemies within melee range with Delight and Destruction, extra Rending on Elite Kill from Dominate, some more toughness damage reduction, extra damage reduction while charging melee attacks from Implacable, more heavy attack damage, and end with Heavy Hitter for stacking damage. I also pick up these four from the Godgryn section. Payback Time procs frequently and provides a lot of damage. Bruiser grants a lot of cooldown reduction in higher levels of play as elite enemies are everywhere. Get Stuck In is amazing for letting your team push really hard and fast without having to worry about being stunned or suppressed. I've grown to really appreciate what this talent provides. Attention Seeker is useful for ensuring that you're the center of the enemy's attention. This puts us at 29 of 30 points spent. For the extra point, there are 3 or 4 places I find use for it. If you took Big Friendly Rock, then you can put the point into Soften Them Up. But For this build, since I'm dumping kickback rounds like it's going out of style, I run reloaded and ready. You could roll with linchpin for extra toughness regen from coherency, or you could put it in just getting started for some extra attack speed from fully stacked heavy hitter. Now, for the other build, starting at that toughness damage reduction node, I take Indomitable, Stomping Boots, and Pulverize. I path the exact same way through the Skullbreaker and Godgryn sections of the talent tree. This leaves us with 27 of 30 points spent. To me, there are 2 options for 2 of your points, and 2 options for the final point. For the 2-point options, I'd either take the Health Boost node and Hard Knocks for some extra melee damage during Horde clear. This is the option I personally take. Or you can take the Toughness Damage Reduction node and Towering Presence from Gunlugger side of the tree for some extra team benefit from your aura. Plus it's easier to stay in coherency radius with this, allowing for more consistent toughness regeneration across the team. The single point options are either Linchpin for even more toughness regeneration while in coherency. This is the option I personally take, or Reloaded and Ready for more damage from continuous kickback rounds. It's kinda up to you. Again, if you took Big Friendly Rock, you could pick Soften them up at this point. I have played with all of these options, and they're all fine. For this particular setup for the Mark IIIb and Kickback, I'm definitely more melee focused, and with the former, I play in a more melee ranged hybrid manner. How it plays. Both of these builds are very much bruisers with this weapon pairing. Melee is the name of the game, but when I run the build using Loyal Protector, I lean on the Kickback a lot. With the way the Kickback is right now and having extra ammo to play with, I don't necessarily need to be charging all over the place. I tend to stick to the center of the team more, pop my taunt with regularity, and fill in where's needed. Running Loyal Protector over Indomitable does require you to engage with gunners using the Kickback much more than being able to charge headlong into them with Indomitable. Fortunately, the Kickback is great at suppression. For the more melee-focused build, it's your classic Godgryn style of play, forcing everything into melee and charging directly at ranged units. On a side note, I have tested to see if dumping a round to get expansive affects the damage you provide from an Indomitable charge. I can see no discernible difference between the two. Therefore, I tend to charge, dump my Kickback into 3 enemies, and then attack my way back to the group. When compared to the Loyal Protector build, there is something to be said about applying stacks of bleed to the vast majority of a horde and having it die. I have run these builds with the Latrine Shovel, and it works well too. In fact, this was supposed to be my second Latrine Shovel video, but then they changed the club. I love the shovel, but this club has certainly got my attention lately. If you've seen my Mark IIIb club video, you know what this thing is capable of. When bosses announce their presence, I'm ready to stagger them into oblivion. The team can breathe easy and just DPS the thing down. If you haven't seen it, you'll find a link in the description. If you've seen my latest Kickback video, you know what it's capable of. Having something that I can swap to very quickly to dispatch specials and elites is fantastic. There is a link to it in the description as well. Either of these builds, with this weapon pairing, brings a very high level of confidence in combat. There is absolutely nothing you can't handle, and that is why I run these two together. What makes me choose one over the other? Well, it depends on the team composition. If we're pretty heavy on range damage, I'm rolling with Indomitable and focusing on melee power. If there is an even mix or the team leans more toward melee, I bring Loyal Protector. What I like about both of these builds is they're a bit flexible. They're hitting some of the core parts of the Godgryn's talent tree that I like. Additionally, the weapons, both of them are very flexible in what blessings you can take. The Kickback doesn't have that great a blessing pool to pick from, and the Basher has a lot of great blessings, and I've played with a lot of mixtures of them, and they all work just fine. So you don't really need anything specific for this build. I am showing you specifically what I run, but you can run just about anything. That's about it for this one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I'm out.